Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is 3 Ma. We've actually got all three of us here after a game, three different locations to talk about that. K-State loses 24-21 at home to Army to fall to 1-2 on the season in a season in which K-State could very easily be 0-3 with losses to North Dakota and Army, if not for some late game heroics last week. This show, I can assure you, for K-State fans, is brought to you by Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Bourbon. Probably a lot of that going around tonight. I would make a joke about how the first lady of 3Ma sent me a picture and a text about something with how much whiskey was being consumed tonight, but I don't even know if I'm in a joking enough mood for this one. This is not really the Iowa State post-game vibe, but thank you to Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Bourbon and 360 Vodka for helping everybody through what may be now a very, very long football season. Hell, it already feels like, guys, it's been the longest K-State football season I can remember, and it's September 6th. This season started on August 23rd. You lost to your arch rival in front of the entire college football world in week 0. QB1's family got into a fight after the game. Your best player on offense arguably got hurt after muffing a punt and playing one snap of the first game, still has not been seen. You needed a 2-minute drive to beat North Dakota at home. Your best receiver got hurt today, one of the few bright spots on the team on a touchdown catch that was overturned. And then you lost to Army, which it's one thing to lose to a team like Army. It's quite another to then have to watch Army do what they do, right? Like, we can talk about the scheduling of this game, but you knew playing a service academy was just going to be like Chinese water torture. Even at best, it's very annoying. At worst, it is Chinese water torture. So you're losing this game, and it just happens as you're just being waterboarded the whole time. So I do feel like I just walked out of an international torture chamber somewhere watching that game, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and then I had to get tortured and waterboarded again with that press conference after the game, to be quite honest. That was a disaster, too. It's one thing to watch your team feel like you're getting waterboarded and tortured watching that game because you're playing Army in their style. It's another thing to go into a press conference after the game, in my opinion, and make excuses for losing to that team. And, if it's that hard, then why is Army losing to all the other Power 4 teams they played in recent memory? And it wasn't even last year's Army team that those teams, I don't know. That struck the wrong tone. That was actually quite disappointing. And if you think you have to be so light and soft with your team afterwards, then you probably don't have the right guys.
That's DY. I couldn't, Cole, I'm going to let you go because, Cole, you did get to hear it, right?
I heard it. I watched it.
It was just as bad as the team's performance. It was just as bad as the team's performance. So if you actually feel that way, that's really bad. If you have to do it because you're worried about how your team might feel, that's really, really bad. There is no good conclusion as to why he has to go into the press conference and say those things.
Well, I would definitely encourage everybody to go watch it as soon as we are done here. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it'll be posted by then. I watched it live on the K-State Sports Facebook. There's a little hack for everybody. You can watch those things live when they happen. And boy, I'm glad I did, because that was about the most interesting Kleiman press conference that I've seen in a while. He basically, it was a long opening statement laying out what happened. And here's the thing. He's not wrong. He's not right. He's not wrong about a lot of the things that he said, but you hit the nail on the head about the tone. Like, people are out for blood. You just almost lost to North Dakota last week. You already lost to your rival, who's been kicking your ass every year now at the beginning of the season. This was the time for a little fire and brimstone. Like, nope, nobody wants to hear.
He acted like
the defense had to play so many snaps that they're getting really, really tired and worn out, because we know that that's true. Hey, Army executed an onside kick that's really hard to execute, and it is fortunate the way that the ball bounced there. The one time your special team steps up and makes a play, it actually hurts you because you really needed the defense to get some rest. I believe that's true, and I was saying it in group chats at the time it happened. Like, hey, the one time special team steps up and makes a play, actually could have used them to not do that. But you can't come firing out of the press conference, laying all of that out, and expect anybody to be happy, man. That's not the right tone there. And look, that's Chris Kleiman. That's kind of how he always is. I've said that before in press conferences where people were mad. but I do feel like this was on another level. Like I needed to see some fire after that, man. I don't know. Sitting there thinking we have a short week and we got to turn around and go play Arizona on Friday on the road. I mean, have fun with that. 1-3 is coming at you real fast here. But yeah, the press conference, if you're somebody that gets frustrated with Kleiman being too positive, you're going to hate every single little bit of that press conference. It will be just as torturous as the game.
I'll be short just because Cole hasn't talked yet. But you guys know I'm not a guy that really criticizes how guys treat press conferences or what they say in press conference, and it was disappointing. Like, quite frankly. And maybe he has to do that. Maybe he has that kind of locker room. He has to do that. And if that's the case, the season's probably already lost because that's too soft of a team if they can't take any criticism at all.
Yeah, I mean, the whole player-led program stuff goes out the window if you have to talk in a public setting like that about your football team after a game like that, and really after the last couple of weeks. Just a complete debacle. I told people before the game, I was like, look, if North Dakota wasn't the wake-up call that this team needed, they're never going to figure it out. They're not figuring it out, guys.
No.
They're not. This thing's not getting fixed. This coaching staff is not fixing this. There are issues with this program. This program, guys, has been a debacle since the back half of last season. They're 1-8 against the spread since the KU game last year. Like, you know why I got so mad when Chris Kleiman kept telling everybody winning and getting 8-4 is so hard last year for the Iowa State game? Because the writing felt like it was on the wall that mediocrity is okay. All right? It felt like he was laying it out. It was a bunch of excuses. And what did he say tonight after the game? He said winning's really hard. All right? How many more of these inexplicable losses are we going to watch Chris Kleiman torture this fan base through? I'm not calling for heads here or anything like that. I don't want it to be read like that. But, like, they come into games against opponents they should dominate, and they're completely unprepared, and it happens every year with this coaching staff.
Don't tell me it's hard, and don't tell me that there was just a weird game with a lot of flukes and you just got a lot of bad bounces and lay out all these excuses and say you're just the worst luck team in the world, basically, because then that's the reason why you lost. Don't tell me that when you're 1-2 and you damn well probably should be 0-3 with the damn loss at home in North Dakota.
Can we cut
the last year with 3 or 4 losses before the bowl game?
They should have lost to Rutgers. I mean, can we cut the bullshit too on the onside kick? You were ready for the onside kick? To hell you were ready for the onside kick. If you're ready for the onside kick and that's the way you play that, I told people that I was sitting by, they're going to onside kick this. They weren't ready for the onside kick. And if you were, this team is terribly coached. That is not preparation there to be ready for that. All right? He is not positioned. I'm glad that Fitz challenged him on it because that is utter bullshit. All right? To be so defensive about that too in that setting, like, I just.
Well, we need to have a discussion about it because I thought the same thing, Cole. I watched it on TV, so I wasn't even at the game. I watched it on the TV broadcast, DY. It sure looked to me like he was turned away from the ball, but Derek said that they all watched it after the postgame press conference, and everybody thought that actually it looked like he was trying to turn and prepare for it. When I saw it live, man, it sure looked like on the replay he had turned his head and was not looking for it. I don't know.
It looked like they thought it was coming, but he also looked like he was kind of scared of the ball. So
all right. So, guys, if you think the onside kick's coming that badly, and he just said that a kick return for a touchdown was the wrong thing when they did it earlier. So why don't you just set up in a typical onside kick recovery formation then? Because you don't want to return a kick for a touchdown, right? He just said it was bad. You couldn't do it again. So set up with 9 guys at the front line in an onside kick recovery. They had 5-man front. They were in a normal kick return formation. That's complete bullshit. All right? He is lying to this fan base when he says that shit. All right? Like, don't talk to your fans like they're dumb. That's ridiculous.
The personnel was different from that to the next one. The next one looked like it had more of a hands team. So
yeah, put your hands team out there, DY, right? Like, am I wrong in this? He just said you don't want to return a kick for a touchdown.
Yeah, so that would be a little bit of my pushback if I was going to say that it doesn't make sense. It does. I mean, we can go all into that's part of it, but there's also the halfback option pass where I was like, he's going to throw it almost as soon as the running back got the ball. You could tell, like, the running back
see it coming a mile away.
The running back tipped what he was going to do as soon as he caught the toss. Everybody in the stadium knew he was going to throw that ball as soon as he caught the ball, the pitch from the quarterback, except apparently every defensive back on K-State's field.
Has a Chris Kleiman coach team ever defended a trick play successfully?
One time I can remember.
Game where someone tried 2, and we thought, we're like, hell yeah, they finally defended it.
AJ Parker, Oklahoma, 2019.
2019.
Well, I think there was a game in like 23 or 24 because I was joking in the press box. I remember someone tried to run 2 and they finally defended it. But AJ Parker intercepted the one.
John, did I not say in the pregame show, watch for a trick play on a pass?
It was the same play that Navy.
We saw Navy did it in the we talked about that. The Navy did it in the bowl game when they played them in the Liberty Bowl. Yeah.
And then there's the 4th and 2 at the goal line. Going back to what I've been saying, you guys know this. I've screamed this for the last 3 weeks till I was blue in the face. Probably annoyed you guys by how much I kept talking about toughness, physicality, and discipline, which all 3 of those come into play in this game. We got 4th and 2 at the 3-yard line. Army needs to get to the 1, and the backup quarterback gets outside and runs through 3 tacklers to get the first down.
Yeah, I mean,
one of them's Austin Romaine.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the difference.
And go look at that play too and see the effort from Zayshawn Rich. Not great.
Yeah, oh, it was terrible by Rich. I mean, look, here's the thing, guys. K-State was 112th in power success rate coming into this game in short yardage situations on the offensive side of the football. This speaks volumes about this football team, right? Chris Kleiman in a 4th and 1.5 yards at the Army 15 wouldn't go for it on the first drive of the game because they got stuffed on a 3rd and 1 when they lined up in essentially an I formation, right? All right, then they get 4th and 1.5 at the 50-yard line, and he punts the football for a touchback because he doesn't think this football team against an undersized front of Army can get a yard or a yard and a half when they need it. But guess what? Army knows what they can do. They know they can get 2 to 3 yards on every 4th down against Kansas State. They can go for a 4th and 4. With a backup quarterback that had 7 carries in his entire career and 2 yards passing in his career. They gave up a 3rd and 7 in a standard drop back situation, guys, and then a 3rd and 5. They allowed a 16-play, 2-minute drill drive with Army before half. That's one of the most inexplicable things. Have you ever seen Army execute a 2-minute offense and 16 plays?
And to be honest, that's what turned the tide of the complete game because – quite frankly, before that, I was like, all right, 13-0. You wish you had the touchdowns, not the field goals, but you kind of dominated the game. As soon as Army went and you got 2-minute, Joe Clanderman got 2-minute drilled by Army, the game was, that basically just turned everything in the game. We're talking about trust. You're right. Kleiman doesn't trust his own team in short yardage, really, and that's why he feels like he needs to take the points there and goes up, 10-0? Is that where that was, right?
They got up 13. They got up 3-0 first.
3-0. Well, he didn't trust his team in short yardage on 3rd and 4th down, so he's kicking field goals. And you correctly called this out in our group chat. So he's not trusting the offense at short yardage. He's not trusting the defense on 3rd and 21 either, because he declined that penalty.
He declined a penalty that would have put a kicker who's a shaky kicker who just missed 2 kicks in the last game they lost to Tarleton State. He declined it, would have put him in 3rd and 21 at like the 30-yard line. He doesn't trust his damn defense, guys, to get a stop on 3rd and 21. An Army team, you get them in a standard drop back, they're not completing a pass if you have a team worth a damn.
Yeah, if you trust your defense there, you accept the penalty, and clearly he did not.
Yeah, and I was kind of with him at the time, honestly, guys.
I didn't think it was the wrong decision, but it tells you a lot.
I was like, dude, I was like, Kleiman, do not give them 2 more downs, dude. They'll go for it on 4th down. Do not give them 2 more downs. I just let them kick that thing. Let them kick that thing.
By the way, there was a comment here that says Zayshawn Rich has got awful. I have no clue why the staff even puts him on the field. Okay, this game he was not good, but he's been pretty good the first 2. He's one of the few DBs that's worth a damn.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, to me, I feel like all this can just be condensed into this statement, and maybe I'll make this statement. We need to probably take our first break here, but I'll make this statement and get your guys' thoughts on the other side. I just think you can distill it down to K-State's not tough at all. Army's really tough. K-State's not well coached at all. Army's really well coached. So that's really what it boils down to. And the problem is you should be at least well coached and tough enough to make your talent edge matter here, but it just didn't. They got that was a masterclass from Monken out coaching Kleiman and company in this game, man. A total total freaking masterclass, and they didn't panic when they got down 13-0. And that's a lot of this. We should spend a lot of time on the errors in the first half. Obviously, the 2-minute drill, which is, one of the funniest things. I'm sorry. It's just objectively funny that as bad as this defense has been, that Joe Klanderman's defense got 2-minute drilled to death by Army with a backup quarterback. That is objectively funny that happened. But the offense left too much. And there's, I've got Matt Wells problems. I've got Avery still not, I'm not putting the entire game on him. He was on point throwing the ball, but still not having a great feel for when to tuck it and run, not running hard enough. Like, just they lost the game in a lot of ways in the first half, because then it put them at risk of having the onside kick and things like that matter as much as they did in the second half. So we'll get to all that in just a moment. But hey, calling all Chiefs fans, man, life's great if you're a K-State fan and a Chiefs fan right now. Calling all Chiefs fans, you can be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is a proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're back in just a moment.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Just a short drive from Kansas City. Experience the history, the heritage, and the bourbon at Holiday Distillery. Tour Missouri's oldest distillery, where real Missouri bourbon is made the old-fashioned way. Walk the grounds, taste the tradition, and take home a bottle of something special. Make the trip, sip the story. Holiday Distillery, Weston, Missouri. Book your tour at holidaydistillery.com.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's how I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
All right, we got to make this top storyline of the week. I was like, maybe we could tiptoe around this. I think enough's enough. Brought to you by our friends at Elenco, elencohome.com, ALENCO home.com, to get the best in home improvement in the region. We love Elenco. We don't love how tough this team is, or lack thereof. And that's it. Like, down to the final drive, man. I feel like the final drive was even very emblematic of like what this team is and where they're at. Avery Johnson's throwing darts. He hits Jerron Tibbs perfectly in stride on a play that should have gotten them into field goal range. You're in position to just be fine after all that happened. Jerron Tibbs fumbled the football. That was outlandish that they held that up as an incomplete pass. I cannot believe that. But a safety comes in like a missile and makes a perfect play because Army is really well coached and really tough. And then Jace Brown is trying to catch another dot from Avery on the sideline. He's not tough enough to haul it in. Army is well coached enough to have the safety, the same guy, come in and hit the ball in the same spot and be tough as hell and really well coached. And it's like, that's the story of the game. That's the story of the season. That's why they lost the Iowa State game, because Iowa State is grittier and tougher. That game with Iowa today, no chance in hell this K-State team would ever win a game like that. No chance in hell. They are not tough enough for that. They're not built for that. They're not well coached enough for that. They have a lot of talent, more talent than they've had, I think, in the program, at least in a while. And going back to like Snyder 2.0 for sure. But they are not tough. They are not tough.
They haven't been tough all year. I've been screaming that for a few weeks. It's a problem. I think the lack of toughness might be the reason why Kleiman feels like he has to go so soft in that press conference and apologetic. But who knows? We'll see what happens. I don't think toughness is a thing that gets fixed in the middle of a season either. Lack of physicality, I don't know if that gets fixed. Discipline, I don't know if that gets fixed. It's problematic, and I don't see it getting a whole lot better. I hope to be wrong. Avery Johnson, I thought from a ball placement accuracy and really just a throw game perspective, probably played the best game that he has. I mean, some of his throws, the dots and the dimes that he was dropping was pretty impressive. At the same time, I thought some of his run pass decisions were poor. I don't think he even gives off the threat of a run sometimes. Like, some of the good scrambling quarterbacks go outside the pocket and at least make the defense think that they might run. I think he needs to even just do that, like present a little bit of a scare, put linebackers, defensive backs, what have you, in conflict, thinking, hey, you might run, and then you can beat him with the pass, or hey, I'm going to stick with the guy in pass coverage. Now you can take off because you have space that you've basically manipulated because you have a threat of a run and pass. I don't think he does that enough on natural scrambles outside of the pocket, but he delivered great balls today. Operationally, he probably should be a little bit better. I thought he got them into basically 2 illegal formations at really bad times as well, because he's trying to set different protections because he sees a blitz coming. I like that he sees that pre-snap, but you got to know to get yourself lined up right at the same time. And a couple of times he fell short in that.
Look, I mean, I thought it was the best that Avery – I felt like it might have been the most accurate we've seen Avery on throws downfield in his career so far at Kansas State. I mean, he was pretty good against West Virginia last year. He was pretty solid against Colorado, but, like, he was throwing absolute lasers out there to the point that D-White makes. Like, he 3 carries, 14 yards. I know you only ran 43 plays, but there was the 3rd and 5 on the second drive of the game where he tries to flip it to the tight end, and he's got 20 yards to run. Like, those are the types of plays they're giving it to you. Take off and run. Or there was the 2nd and 10 last drive, or second to last drive. Avery's rolling out. He could probably pick up 5 yards just running. He tries to force the ball in to Moise, and then it's an incomplete pass, and they're in 3rd and 10. Don't get me started on the play designs. I know, John, this is a point for you too, where not only multiple times in the game, they ran a 3rd and 10 for like 4 yards to put them in a 4th and 6, where that looked like that was the design read. And then on that last drive, they ran an out route to Davis to get him into like a 4th and 5, 4th and 6. That's another thing. Here's something else, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with softness, but like we continue to hear they're going to fix the wide receiver thing year in and year out at Kansas State. And how many drops do we have to see? They dropped more passes in college football. They had the highest drop rate according to College Pro Football Focus among Power 4 schools last year. And how many drops is that now through 3 weeks? I mean, these absolute beautiful throws. Tibbs, we hear all the hype on, right? That's back-to-back weeks. He has an absolutely brutal, crucial drop on a big-time throw by Avery Johnson. Like, the wide receivers have been an issue the entire Chris Kleiman era. And he's went through multiple wide receiver coaches, 3-4 of them. It's never been fixed. It's frustrating.
For 1 year, I think 2022 receiver room was pretty good, and they had a guy that was tough as hell in Cade Warner there that I think made a huge difference. And outside of that, you're right. But Cole, the frustrating thing is, like, you can see that they're more talented at receiver.
They're getting open all the time. Yeah.
Like that's what sucks about it. But they're not tough.
They're not tough. They're not tough because they're not making tough catches. If they get hit a little bit, the ball's coming out, right? So that's part of it. So toughness and drops.
Yeah.
But they get open a lot more than the other groups in the past.
I like Robert's comment here. Robert says, and maybe we don't, you lost Tremaine Carroll, who was tough as nails. You lost your offensive line coach that was tough as hell. Say what you will about Connor Riley. I mean, he was definitely that. There's no coach on this team that will get into someone's ass. I mean,
that's fine to say, but this team lost three or four going down the stretch last year because of the same problems, and those two coaches were both there.
Sure, but I think it's worse this year than it was last year. I think it's gotten worse.
Now you're struggling to beat North Dakota and losing to Army. Yeah. Could be, but last year's team might have had the same fate, to be honest. But they were probably headed that way.
Well, we've said
I'm not.
Yeah, go ahead, Cole. Go ahead.
Sorry, John. I was just going to say, like, I'm not here either for, like, I get the time of possession ends up 40 minutes to 19 minutes. It ended up that way because your defense wasn't tough enough to get off the field in multiple instances.
Or your offense wasn't good enough to stay on the field, right? They had a chance. Yeah. The defense got to stop right out of halftime. What did the offense do? Absolutely nothing.
Well, yeah, but Cole's making the point that you can't defend the defense and say, "Hey, they were gassed," when they did it to themselves in a lot of ways.
Right.
That's the point that you're making.
But I'm saying the offense did it to them either. Like,
I mean, I'm aware, but I think Cole's point is like, you can't defend the defense out of one side of your mouth when the defense had a chance to prevent themselves from being.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I don't want to hear the excuse at all, because there's two ways to look at it. If you're tired, get off the damn field so you don't have to stay on it long enough, or have your offense do something. It's not an excuse. Like, you can't say my team's dead tired and that's why we lost. Well, then have a better offense or have a better defense, or how about both?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Kleiman called it a weird game. It was a weird game because you made it a weird game, because you couldn't get off the field, because you couldn't capitalize when you were driving the football. You settled for multiple field goals. You wouldn't go for a 4th and 1 because you don't think your team's tough enough to pick up a yard again against a military academy that's undersized up front, and your 310 and 315 pound offensive lineman can't get a push. You don't trust them. And at the midfield point, you don't trust them to go for a 4th and 1, and you punt the ball and you punt it into the end zone for a touchback because you don't think you have a tough enough football team. How many times Chris Kleiman would have went for that typically in the past? He's kind of a gambler, right? But he didn't do it tonight. And the fourth downs, I mean, the thing is, guys, like, multiple 4th downs that were like 4th and 3, 4th and 4. Like, those were not 4th and 1 QB sneaks. They couldn't get off the field against a backup quarterback where he just wants to run the football. You gave up a 3rd and 7 on a drop back pass. You gave up a 3rd and 5 on a drop back pass, and this was on the drive on the 2-minute drill, and you give up an 18-yard route to a wide open kid that he makes the throw on. Again, this kid had 2 yards passing in his college football career. And, Army is able to convert in these short yardage situations. You can't get off the field in a 4th and 3 or a 4th and 4. I question, like, we talk about this team being talented. Guys, I got to be frank. I don't know if they're that talented. Like, I think there's a toughness factor.
I think they're talented. No, I think they're talented. I think they play dumb as hell because they're not coached well enough, and I think they're not tough enough, and I don't think they're not physical enough. It's all of those things. They have some of the better looking physically, and guys that are just in their heads. I think it's all coaching, and it's all toughness and physicality related, because don't tell me that they barely beat North Dakota, who has no business maybe even making the FCS playoffs this year, and then go and lose to Army at home because they're not talented enough. You can have Bill Snyder's damn teams that have a lot less talent than him in the final years, right? In 17 and 18, they would have won those 2 games by a lot more. So it is not a talent thing to me. And another thing, don't tell me your team is too tired to go win a football game. One, that's a really loser attitude, I think. Very defeatist. And when you weren't good enough on it, you're tired because your offense wasn't good enough and your defense wasn't good enough. You're not tired because of anything else. You're tired because your offense wasn't good enough and then your defense wasn't good enough. So you being tired is not a good excuse. You also didn't trust your offense in a critical opportunity when you took those field goals and all that stuff. You didn't trust your defense in a critical opportunity when you basically declined a penalty, all these things. So don't give me these excuses. Kleiman doesn't think his team's that good either, or he would have went for it, or he would have accepted a penalty.
Last I checked, too, you're a Big 12 football program with a Big 12 strength and conditioning program, and you got 105 guys there. Army's the road team, right? Army doesn't bring 105 guys on the road. They got, 65, 70 guys on their travel roster, and your team's gassed? You have a hell of a lot more depth and guys on scholarship that are supposed to be a lot more talented than what Army has. So I don't want to hear, oh, I'm tired. It was 70 degrees. All they played in is cool weather. I get that's not the only thing here, and they had to be on the field for 82 plays, which, by the way, I went through Army's game logs. They'd only had since 2019 2 instances where they ran more than 82 plays. They ran 83 plays in a couple of different ball games over the last 5-6 years. But that's, again, just another indictment of Kansas State's defense. They don't have the toughness to get off the field. And to what your point was earlier, DY, we talked about it on the show. Like, when Army plays Power 4 opponents, they've gotten their ass kicked, all right? Notre Dame's an independent school, obviously. They beat them 49-14 last year. Wake Forest beat these guys 45-10 a few years ago. Syracuse beat them by 13. I could go down the list. The only one they won really was a bowl game against Missouri that Missouri really didn't care about, 24-22. So, like, you're the outlier, all right? You're the team that, like, lost. I don't want to hear, like, I see people complaining about, oh, you paid Army $1.1 million. Like, you shouldn't have scheduled Army. You need to go beat Army. You were favored by 17.5 points. Get the job done. I don't care if it's a military academy, if they run a triple option. And now we watch Chris Kleiman lose to Navy and to Army. He said, oh, I've been through this a lot. All right. I've played these military schools a lot. Well, yeah. And you lose to them a lot, it seems, because both opportunities you had, you didn't.
The trick is to not play Army's game. If you get into the trap and play Army's game, yeah, you're going to lose. Those other teams, they won because they didn't play Army's game.
Cole, I would just say too, on the back to where the genesis of this discussion was about the talent. I think this team has a lot more athleticism and physical ability than what we have seen. I think that's what they have. But if you do want to talk about an element of talent being like drive and putting it on the line, another great comment that I saw in there. And I mean, look, again, I'm not Avery Johnson. I think is lower on the list of problems in this game than, there are a lot of things above him. But when you're talking about a guy who has a ton of athletic ability, a ton of skill, but like Sam Levitt had a play tonight where he ran to the sideline on a 4th and 5 and remember the time Daniel Sams against TCU went like total Superman? I mean, he went like that. It was kind of like, honestly, it started like how Garrett Schrader, when he got flipped up in the air against K-State back in 2019, Sam Levitt went like that, just body totally on the line, full on sprawling out, sprinting toward the sideline with complete decisiveness. And I think he came up like half a yard short, but it was an unbelievable effort. And it's like, who on this team does anything like that? No, nobody. And look, Avery, he's not that guy right now to do that. And no one on this team really is like that. And another play call that really bugged me, I think maybe the kill shot of the game, trying to remember the specific sequence. It was before Army. It was 21-17. Army's driving. You did have them on like a 4th and 4. And Austin Romaine got a free shot at a backup quarterback who, speaking of athleticism, is not all that athletic. You got a free shot at the backup quarterback, and he, instead of playing take an angle where you're kind of containing him a little bit, and he just goes straight at him with a horrible angle, and he just loops around, breaks contain, and gets the first down. And it's just like, this is the Pro Football Focus All-American. Right? This is the guy. That's the guy that needs to make a play there, and he's not.
Those pushback tackles that they're not getting, like they get a tackle, but they let the quarterback fall forward for 2 or 3 yards. That's what I think of toughness. Toughness is when you hit someone, you win the momentum battle. You knock them back. They don't fall forward for those extra yard or two and get the first down, and they're missing that, and they don't even get it from Austin Romaine. So I don't know. I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's toughness. Like, go out there and show someone that you want it more than the other team. That's what it is, right? They played 3 games. They haven't wanted it more than the other team. North Dakota wanted it more too. You're lucky you got what you needed at the end.
Yeah, there are some places, Cole, specifically where I think you could argue that. Now, like running back being one, although obviously like Dylan Edwards being out really hurts. I mean, like Joe Jackson.
Play Devon Rice more. There's your answer. Or in your secondary, talented, but they're stupid as hell. I mean, they're just growing pains is really bad.
I guess they're talented. Secondary, I might challenge you a little bit.
They have 6'3", 6'4" corners running a 4-3. They're talented. They don't know what they're doing for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fair enough. All right, we got. I'm being told we need to take a break here, so let's take a break. Maybe we can start to turn this a little more big picture, because like, where do you go from here? I mean, yeah, well, we'll discuss that next. Where do you go from here?
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. If you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you could jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with the sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want. Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN, and when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
All right. Bigger picture. I mean, look, you got a tough turnaround. We already talked about this in the offseason, that this turnaround coming off of Ireland, North Dakota, and then Army, where you just get beat up, in the talk of the post-game press conferences, we're tired, we're gassed. Well, now you got a short week, and you got to go play a road game. And Arizona, I know Arizona's game tonight was delayed. They were playing Weber State. So I don't know what they've done tonight. They looked a lot better than I thought they would against Hawaii last week. Looks like they may have at least become more respectable. I mean, look, any game on the schedule at this point, you basically just lost back-to-back to North Dakota and Army. Any game at this point is going to be one that is very losable. But that's kind of the point now. Is this team going to become 2024 Oklahoma State? Maybe 2025 Oklahoma State also. But, is this a team that winds up 3-9? Is this a team that winds up over in the Big 12? Because I think at this point, just about anything's on the table. Can you fight? I mean, what's a best case scenario at this point? I don't really know. Can this team get to 7-5, 8-4, something like, maybe you say that. I mean, right now it sure doesn't feel like it. I think that's got to be the big picture concern here is does this season completely, totally fall apart after what just happened there?
I mean, they could be the next team on a long list of those that went to Ireland and had a complete disaster the rest of the way. It wouldn't be out of the norm, right? There's at least one team every year that goes to Ireland and comes back and is a complete, shit show. Quite frankly, we saw it last year with Florida State, and they've already bounced back this year, looked like an entire new team. So we'll see. It's on the table, like you said. I don't really have any definitive projections of how the rest of the year will unfold. What I will say is, and I'll give some credit or a lot of credit to Fitz, because we had this conversation. I think he's right. I think they've almost willed some of these circumstances into existence. I think that and Chris Kleiman even said this, I think that they overemphasized the Ireland thing so much that they willed it into existence for their players. And then it happened, right? They had the hangover against North Dakota, so to speak, even though it doesn't even look like a hangover at this point, just a part of a trend. but then they talked all along about Army's style of play and what they do as an offense in the triple option and how it can be a challenging scheme to prepare for and a totally different game, limited possessions. I wrote about it all. I get it. I did it too. Maybe they willed that into existence as well, and they got defeated by that. So now what I'm leery of, I think that's the word I'm looking for here, is now you're going to will Friday night road game, short week after they're already talking about how sore they're going to be because they just played Army, right? How tired they're going to be because they just played Army, right? We heard that in Chris Kleiman's press conference. So are we going to emphasize that too much and will that into existence on a short week Friday night road game with Arizona? I mean, that's on my mind.
Look, the alarm bell should have been going off probably right after Chris Kleiman at a press conference after the Iowa State game, not immediately after, but the week following, when he just kept talking about like depth and snap counts, right? And these guys are tired. Like, it's like game one, man. Like you're already talking about you.
I kind of thought that even with guys out, it's like, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of teams that just have guys play 60 snaps. I don't know.
And I felt like the excuses were flowing this week when he started talking about, like, guys, we're down to 105 players and we got 25 plus hurt. We're down to like 70 guys practicing. What do you want us to do? You know? So when you hear that, is there any doubt now next week we're going to hear an excuse that, well, guys, it's been 70 degrees we've been practicing in for the last 3 weeks, and now we got to go play in Tucson where it's 97 and we're going to be gassed and we're going to be
Short
hot.
week.
We haven't been able, short week, and we just played Army. And we haven't been conditioned. We haven't been conditioned to play in these elements because we've had unseasonable weather, and it's just not fair.
It's like they build in
what it feels like.
It's like they build in these excuses and almost drill it into their own players' heads a little bit.
Yeah. So, like, big picture, John, like, to your question, I don't even think Friday night's game matters because at this point, conference play is the only thing that matters. Like getting right. I mean, so I guess part of that is getting right for conference play. You dropped to 1-3. You're clearly not getting right for conference play, though. I don't think they're going to figure it out anyways at this point.
To be honest, I think. Short week after. I'll just say it. Short week after Army, and because I think that's actually going to impact this team, the way they're playing in the Friday night road game, which Big 12 teams were 2-5 in last year. I think they're losing.
Yeah, right now I would honestly. Yeah, I
mean, I don't know. What have you seen this year that would I get? You know,
does anyone honestly think they're going to go on a short week after Army and beat Arizona on the road on a Friday night? I don't.
I mean, no, I'm not. No, I don't. I'm not going to predict that at this point. I was about to say. I mean, you know, I guess you can say Iowa State does look pretty good. They did hang. I mean, it was like a 1-possession game basically until the very end. It probably should have been a 10-point game against Iowa State, but they were halfway close there. I mean, again, I think that comes back to if they're a little more motivated and locked in, like they do have skill enough to hang with teams like that. I mean, they've certainly got skill enough to go win the game, but they don't have. It's just weird to me how the toughness thing has just completely crumbled. You know, I mean, Kleiman's always been like more of a obviously player-led coach, and I think the program desperately needed to swing the other way after Bill Snyder 2.0, right? But they had more of it. They just had more guys that were, you know, your Deuce Vaughn's, your Felix Anyudike, Uzama's, like even guys like Austin Moore, Brendan Mott, who were still around last year. It's just like at some point they lost that. And a lot of it seems to be this kind of wave of talent that they have, which is these guys that, again, were really highly thought of and are very athletic, but they're kind of like finesse players. You just have a lot of finesse players that are your best guys. And I don't know. And we've thought the coaching staff has been stale for a while. You did lose Connor Riley, who's one guy was a bit more of an ass kicker. You know, I don't know. It's just bizarre to me that the bottom completely fell out on all that. Because it's not like this team has had just a run of, I think you would think more like Oklahoma State, right? Like Mike Gundy didn't jump in on NIL when he should have. And Oklahoma State's roster became dramatically less talented. And that's why they're going and getting beat 69-3 at Oregon today. That's not really what happened here. It's like they just became way less disciplined and much less tough. And that's weird. That seems like that would be a much easier thing to maintain than just the overall talent level, where it's like you can trace what happened to Mike Gundy's program, I think, a lot more easily than you can with this program, because everybody knew, like that was no secret. Everybody could see what Oklahoma State was doing with talent retention. I mean, they lost, who was the quarterback a few years ago that went to go be a backup at Mississippi? Spencer Sanders. He leaves Oklahoma State just to go be a backup at Ole Miss, and they just weren't maintaining their roster. You could see all that coming. It's a lot more jarring because I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on exactly when this happened and what happened.
Do you think that they feel like they can coach this group hard enough? Because I wonder a little bit, because it felt like when you have to be able to coach your best players really hard. I think, and that sets the tone for everyone else the rest of the way. Like the terms of like your top 5 to 10 players, they have to be your leaders too. They have to be really good leaders, but 2, they have to be willing to be really coached really, really, really freaking hard. Do you think they have guys like in their top 5 or 10 players like Deuce Vaughn and Cooper Beebe where you could light them up if you have to? I don't know. It's a question I kind of have.
No, I don't think they do. I also don't think they don't have like Deuce Vaughn and Cooper Beebe. You wouldn't have to light up, right? Like,
yeah,
that they would step forward.
But you could to make a point, even if it wasn't warranted, like that.
Yeah.
You had to, right? That's what coaches do.
Yeah.
Because if they showed that they'll take that, then the rest of the team will too.
Yeah. I think they're not tough enough.
So some of this then maybe Cole is like, I'm just spitballing here, but they have a lot of talent that took a good chunk of money to go get in this NIL era. And it feels like there was certainly pressure to go get Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, Lincoln Curie, these guys that were huge in-state recruits that were expensive, and it was tough recruiting battles to go get. In some cases, like Dylan Edwards, you didn't even win the recruiting battle the first time around. And so is it being too cautious with like, hey, it took a lot of effort for us to get these guys, and we feel, maybe that's some of why you feel like you can't coach them as hard because these dudes have so many options. I'm just speculating there, but the dynamics have certainly changed a little bit from what first of all, the sport was like, but also just like what the roster was like a few years ago. That's a theory.
Yeah, I mean, we've commended them on their roster retention, right? I mean, they haven't been that heavily hit in the portal during the Kleiman era. Like, they've done a really nice job of retaining most of the guys that you wanted to keep, and we've complimented that. We've commended that. And now maybe you kept too much, or maybe you brought in guys that weren't the right fits that, you just didn't evaluate right in the portal. Look, we know they've been given plenty of resources to be at least competitive in the top 3 or 4 in this league, with the money that has been allocated from an NIL standpoint for this football roster. So either they made a mistake in evaluation to some of the guys that they brought in or some of the guys that they retained where they're allocating their resources. Go ahead, DY.
From a talent standpoint, I will say this, and I feel like I know enough ball to feel this way. From a talent standpoint, I don't think they're lacking, but I think they're lacking in terms of maybe a coachability standpoint of how hard you can really lay into these guys. I wonder if they sacrifice some of the toughness and fabric of the program a little bit to get some of the more talent.
That's basically DY. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
There is a push-pull with that a little bit, I think.
That feels to me like that's what happens. That's my best theory as to what happens. What happened?
It's hard to get both. It is.
This doesn't really solve the problem that we're talking about here, but I do love that Conundrum said to give Cody Campbell an honorary degree at K-State. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, but I don't know. Texas Tech spent a ton of money. This is why it's so weird, like how you handle this. Texas Tech spent a ton of money, and I mean, I've watched those guys 2 weeks. They played Kent State and Arkansas Pine Bluff. I get it, but I mean, they come out and just beat people down like 1998 K-State. Just completely demolish them. They play really hard. We'll see, I guess, when the tough gets going. But I mean, this K-State team hasn't been able to come close to even do that against teams that you should be doing that against. And I will say that for teams that this is why we talk about the bottom falling out being a big concern. In this era, it is much, much easier for the bottom to fall out than it was before. And a lot of it is because of what we are talking about. If you now start coaching guys harder, and they've got money and options and the portal and all this stuff, and if you are trying to toe that line of how much do we compromise our values to go get the talented guy that we're pressured to get in state and all of that, it's very easy for that pendulum to swing too far the other way because the sport's just real volatile right now. And Florida State is a great example of that, where last year they had that happen, had the wrong guys, got off to a rough start, bottom completely fell out. They went 2-10. And the next thing you turn around, they're week 1, they're beating down Alabama. So like it just, I guess I could say that as like I know everybody's going to panic and melt down, and like we're doing some of that, but we'll see. The way this season is going, there will be major changes. This will not be another offseason where you're going to retain a bunch of the roster. It's going to look a lot different. And I would just think it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be like this team goes from bad to worse or this program goes from bad to worse. I think you probably got to recalibrate a little bit, like what you're doing as far as who you're bringing in, compromising values for talent, because it does, I think, feel a lot like that's what's gone on here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you probably have had too much continuity on the coaching staff, right? I mean,
100%. Yeah.
Like at this point, you just keep rolling it over, and there can be good things said for bringing back a lot of your coaches, but there's times when you need new blood, and they just promote from within frequently. And so some of the outside hires they made, frankly, been kind of underwhelming. So yeah, I think that's part of it too. Message probably grows a little stale in the locker room from some of these guys. And look, Chris Kleiman recognized in the pandemic season that he needed a culture reset, right? You know, that's when they went to this whole player-led mindset. They got rid of a lot of guys that were within the walls of the program because they recognized there were some problems that were spreading issues within the locker room. And I don't know if that's happening. I mean, I don't know if that's the issue really here, but
if it is, you got to consider like that was like a 2-3 year reset.
Yeah. I mean, 2021 wasn't a historically fun season. I mean, right?
No, it was just a step in the right direction to something bigger. Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. I don't know where they're going to go from here.
I do some things. I have a new article I wrote this week, and I'm not going to tell you what I wrote this week, but I can tell you what I can say now. It's like things I think, things I know. I'm at the point where I feel like I know that they don't have some of the right guys.
We talk about argue.
What's that?
Hard to argue. Hard to argue the other way.
Yeah, because again, I don't think it's a talent standpoint. I think it's like, also, do you have a guy that just refuses to lose? Like Cole talks shit on him all the time, and I get it because some of his stats aren't pretty.
Rocco Becht. I would cut off my right arm right now, and I would throw it through that camera right at you, Cole, if Rocco Becht was K-State's quarterback.
His stats aren't pretty. There are times where it feels like he gets lucky. But what I will say is Rocco Becht has that trait that sometimes it's very uncommon. Not a lot of people have it, but that refuse to lose kind of trait. Rocco Becht, and because of that trait, is better for Iowa State than Brock Purdy ever was.
I agree, man. I would totally agree with that.
Brock Purdy, better quarterback. He will play more. He's going to play a lot more games in the NFL than Rocco Becht ever will. 99.9% sure that's a fact. But Rocco Becht figures it out, finds a way to win. And K-State doesn't have a single player on offense or defense that really has that trait right now.
Cole, I did think of you. Cole, did you see the last drive that Iowa State had when they scored to get the field goal to win the game? The pass that Rocco Becht had that deflected off a dude on 3rd and 4, whatever it was, bounced to someone else for a first down. I did in my head. I was like, I can hear Cole screaming at me right now, man.
No, that's true on that play. But I thought the jump pass was actually good because I think he threw it away from a defender.
Did my text not go through when I was screaming about that, John? Because I thought I sent you
you did.
text.
Did you? Okay, I'm sorry.
But the fact that Cole didn't vehemently disagree with me when I said all that means he is reluctant to agree.
No. I'm a beaten down man, DY. I can't push back anymore on Rocco Becht stuff. I can't push back on anything.
He refuses to lose. He's not pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't have the stats, but he refuses to lose.
I mean, look, and Matt Campbell, like that coaching staff, like they got it figured out.
Their offensive coordinator dials up the right shit at the right time a lot right now too. Is it Taylor Mauser? Whew. And what I will say this too, I have two more things. And this is going to be all defensive related before we get out of here. And Joe Klanderman in the past hasn't always been perfect, but he typically had the right adjustments at halftime, and then the defense just kind of figured it out in the second half. That actually were slow starters, and they figured it out in the second half. It's been the reverse this year, where they kind of do well enough in the first half, like against Iowa State, like against Army, except for the 2-minute drill, obviously. But then the second half just get completely eviscerated. So that's one thing. The second thing is Klanderman, from a play calling standpoint, didn't used to get completely out-coached from a play call. It seems like against Iowa State, he was always caught in a blitz. Against Army earlier today, the halfback option pass, the quarterback draw at one point, I think on third or fourth down, where the middle of the field was just vacant as hell. So the Army offense coordinator just dialed it up. It just, Klanderman's getting caught in play calls more than ever before that I can remember. And another thing is just, I don't know that this is technically on Klanderman as a D coordinator because he's calling plays. So personnel-wise, he probably has a say in it during the week from a preparation standpoint. I want this, I want that, this, and this situation, and all these things and snap counts. But like, if you keep telling us year after year that Toby Osunsami isn't a good enough run defender, and we're probably inclined to believe it after the first two games this year, right? We've all actually picked apart Toby Osunsami's run defense. Then on 3rd and 4th and 2, multiple times in this game against Army, why are you having Toby Osunsami on the field and not Chidi Obiizer? You have Chidi Obiizer on a sideline on 3rd and 4th and 2, and Toby Osunsami on the field. This isn't a turbo offense that doesn't let you sub. They'll run the play clock down to 2 most of the time. You have time to put a better run defender on the field in 3rd and 4th and 2 than your elite pass defender who gets criticized by the coaching staff for not being a good enough run defender. Right? Am I not wrong?
No, I mean, their roster decisions, the personnel usage. I mean, on the go-ahead touchdown drive, DY, it was like Army was at about the 20-yard line at Kansas State. So they come out of a timeout. Kansas State has VJ Payne on the sideline. They got Logan Bartley, a true freshman, in his safety. Like, your go-to guy in the secondary, your most experienced player, like, I understand he was probably tired, but the game is on the line. You can't be tired, right? Chris Kleiman also called a timeout on that drive, 2 timeouts actually, just to really rest his defense. They had Army in a 3rd and 4, and out of that timeout, they give up a 15-yard, just get gashed right up the middle for a touchdown. Like they had no idea what they were doing out of a timeout. And so there are glaring issues with this Kansas State defense. And as you pointed out, DY, in the second half against Iowa State, they forced one punt, basically gave up 24 points. If they didn't kneel it down, they would have given up 4 straight scoring drives to end that game if Iowa State didn't kneel it down. Against North Dakota, they give up 2 fourth-quarter touchdown drives back-to-back. And against Army, they forced the 1 punt to start the second half. But outside of that, Army scored 4 of its last 5 possessions. So this defense in the second half has been a complete disaster. And that gets, like we talk about the Tremaine Carroll stuff, we talk about toughness, physicality. It feels like a team that just wears down as the game goes on. And you look at the running game on the offensive side of the football, guys, like they're just 18 carries. Again, I get they didn't have a lot of plays, but they don't feel like they can line up and run the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. And they have what is supposedly one of the most dual threat athletic quarterbacks in the country. And most teams would go for it in those situations, and they know they'd be able to get it, and Kansas State doesn't think they can. And so the offensive line is obviously an issue. The missing Dylan Edwards is an issue, but like there's just no excuses. Like you should be able to out-athlete Army, especially on the offense versus defense. And Army's just so well coached. Jeff Monken's a great coach and completely, put it on Chris Kleiman and this staff today. So it's frustrating. I don't know where they go. We talked about the big picture discussion. I really don't. It's impossible to predict anything other than I really don't think they're going to fix it, guys, this year. This was the game for me that I thought if they came out and showed fire and they played well, that they could get on the right track, because there was, if you wanted to use the Ireland excuse, and if you wanted to say they overlooked North Dakota, and that was the wake up call. Well, you weren't going to get a bigger wake up call than North Dakota. And then you come out and you're up 13-0. And then you don't score another point offensively, and you get a special teams touchdown. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing them right the ship at this point. And I think, they don't handle adversity well. And so how are they going to handle this type of adversity when push comes to shove? When I think they have a leadership problem. I don't think they have the toughness needed. So like when you think about these things factored in, I don't see them right in the ship, and that sucks. Like, football season is 4 months out of the year, and we all look forward to it and count down the days to get here. And it's demoralizing to think that a season, as we approach the second week of September, feels pretty much over.
We have another group chat that just kind of remind me of this, but something that I thought also was interesting, and we found that's out in the Kleiman press conference after the game, was that both JB Nelson and Terrence Enos were late scratches tonight, unavailable. Didn't really say that they were hurt. Yeah. I assume they are, but like he just kind of said they were late scratches. So those are late scratches, whatever that means. Jay-Sean Ross, we know he got kicked off the team, basically was around last weekend, I think. And then a few days later gets arrested. The Dylan Edwards thing, remember when he got hurt and then he kind of argues that with people and then puts out a post that he eventually takes down, says, I'm actually hurt. Like basically you could tell that he was reading about himself way too much online, to be quite frank. And then, John already alluded to Avery's, family squabble after the game in Ireland. So I just think in terms of all the on the field issues that we've talked about for the last hour, they kind of have plenty off the field that kind of show you that they aren't, what does Kleiman say, controlling what they can control. So I think there's real problems here, and really not a light at the end of the tunnel that it's going to get much better.
Can I just also mention one thing that bothered me about the Kleiman press conference, guys, was there was a question posed to him about the offense. And he said, you'll have to ask Matt Wells on Wednesday.
He says that a lot.
But you're the head coach. He said, I'm focused on the defense. You're the head coach. You get paid the big bucks. You are telling people to ask the offensive coordinator? Yeah, you better have a damn answer.
And we don't get to, by the way, because the game's on Friday, so there was not coordinators this week.
And
so that's a convenient thing to say when we actually don't. Matt Wells will not be available to us this week.
Matt Wells also deferred to Chris Kleiman on a question about Dylan Edwards this week. So it's like, you're getting the runaround from.
You're getting the runaround. That was on injuries. Wells just said, I'm not the head coach. I don't talk about injuries. I kind of get that a little bit. But.
I was about to say we'll get an injury report this week, but we won't because it's technically a non-con game, even though
I wonder if the Big 12 will still make them because it's two Big 12 teams, though. It's going to be up to the Big 12.
We'll see. All right. I've about had enough. I hope everybody else has about had enough. I think I'm good with that.
There was a few people that said I was out cold tonight. I don't know what that means.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So did I not bring it enough tonight?
Or that, or I just melted down a little more than
we told you did. I was impressed, DY. Very good job. We were in the car, obviously, and Vanessa said right before we went live, she said, Brody, put your headphones on. So he knew she knew where this show was going. Yeah. But I look, I don't think kind of makes I thought I overreacted to the Iowa State game, and now I feel like I didn't react enough. I mean,
I feel like I didn't react enough to last week's game, to be quite honest.
I feel like
worse
because I was like in the back of my head, maybe it's a hangover. No.
I feel like I've kind of seen it coming the whole way. So, I picked them to lose Iowa State. I mean, I did have them going 9-3. It usually doesn't get this far off the rails, but it's all the issues that I saw from last year now into this off season. Anyway, all right. Thanks to Holiday Distillery. Go get your Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon. It can be your friend the rest of the year, no matter what happens. 360 vodka as well. If you need home improvements, make your life feel a little bit better around home, just have the house looking better. I just did that here to my office, and it makes me feel better every time I walk into it. ALENCOhome.com. We're here. We're trying to help you out a little bit. Thanks to Tucker Franklin and Nick Springer behind the scenes. Nick made it all the way back to finish this after he was in Columbia earlier today. So not a super fun day for any of your regular crew that's involved here on the show. For DY and Cole, I am John. Thanks for listening to 3 Ma. We'll talk to you again soon.